we're bringing back the Crusher Impala. This is a 489-inch big block with an 871 supercharger. The thing has made 700 horsepower to the flywheel, 500 horsepower to the tires, but still, there's a lot of stuff just wrong with it. The Impala has been on tour all summer at a bunch of car shows and stuff, and we got a new supercharger on it, and it's got a new fuel system, but it's not running good. The brakes are horrible. It needs a line lock. It needs power steering, so that's what we're planning on doing on this episode of Roadkill Garage.
Other than that, it's probably great.
Yeah.
Let's try it out.
I know. We're gonna drive it, what, 3 hours up to your place right now? I hope it actually makes it.
Whoa, snappy.
It's actually super good.
And this thing's in great condition. Man, I'm feeling great.
I know. It's hard not to when you have blown 489 cubic inch Impala. 10-inch drum brakes are not really working that great though.
No. So what do you think our chances of making it all the way to the shop are? 1 to 10.
To make it all the way, 10. To make it there painlessly with no repairs, 8.
That's a good answer.
We didn't make it very far. Like what, 3 miles? Something like that? Yeah, that's pretty hot. I think it might not have enough water in it is the
How
problem.
about oil?
It's definitely hot, I know, and the oil's down to the very, very end of the dipstick.
We've only been on the road for like 5 minutes and we realized we really should have probably serviced the car before we left. So we're gonna top that all up right now.
Here's some oil.
Yeah, we need water.
I got 4 gallons. Is it full already?
Yeah.
So I didn't need 4 gallons. All right, we got the front brakes all apart and we're gonna reuse the spindles that are on the car. The new kit isn't here yet. Now I'm gonna start taking apart the master cylinder because this thing has manual brakes on it, which is pretty cool, but it's a drum brake master cylinder. So we're gonna have to upgrade it to a disc brake master cylinder, and I'm also gonna put a line lock on this thing. So more gutting.
You got the brakes done?
This thing's coming apart pretty good, Dulcich.
Really?
And I'm about to pull the master off.
I'll just relax in here while you do that.
Okay, and it's off.
Oh, okay.
Boom. The teardown has gone way too fast. Steve's over there grinding another one of these washers. I'm installing the caliper. If you're installing something like this and you don't know which way the caliper goes, there's a bleeder on the top of it right here for bleeding the brakes, getting all the air bubbles out of the hydraulic system. That always goes up. If the bleeder is here, you could have an air bubble up here. So the bleeder needs to go up here so it can push all the fluid out.
Okay, we've got a different master cylinder to go with our disc brake setup. No problemo there as far as the bolt pattern. You have to bench bleed a master cylinder and get the air out. Otherwise, when you go to bleed the brakes, you'll pump the brakes and you'll just pump air out and suck it right back in over and over again, and you won't get any fluid flow. I've got these rusty old lines cut out of a parts car, and you might notice I've looped it from the ports back into the reservoir. Oh, look at the bubbles coming out of there. That's all air. There's no more bubbles. And that's pretty much bled. I'm happy with that. There we go.
Dulcich already bench bled this thing and we're gonna go install it, and I remembered that we needed to put the combination valve on there. When we're using it with the roll control, that means we're going to plug one of the front outlets so that we will come out of just one of them into the roll control, then out of the roll control into a T to both the front brakes.
We might need to change the push rod, but I'm not too sure.
Well, this push rod's adjustable.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, then we're home free.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Wow, have you ever seen so much brake fluid on the floor of the shop?
Not since I was trying to bleed brakes for the first time.
Here's what happened last night. We fiddled and fiddled with that combination valve that created this whole disaster. We finally chucked it. And then Steve found this, which is a manually adjustable proportioning valve. This is like how Steve and I have done things forever. And after yesterday's scenario, I don't think you'll ever see us trying one of those combination valves again. Okay, this is what we've been waiting for. I promised you like 100 yards, right?
100 yards?
Think I can live up to it?
Let's go.
All the Roadkill cars, once we're done with episodes, they end up going into long-term storage. And our old storage lot was outside. And we had the engine on this thing covered, but the cover dried out or blew off or who knows what. But the big block got all full of water. Junk.
Wow, look at that.
Pitted.
I can virtually assure you that this is going to be good.
Well, that's not gonna happen with this car anymore. It's actually my personal car. We're gonna fix it up in this episode, rebuild the engine, get it in the car, do hella burnouts, get it to the drag strip, and then it will be stored indoors. The paint on the block is dry enough. Dulcich is working on pounding out a dent in my oil pan and painting more stuff. I'm gonna start gapping the rings. What that means is putting the piston ring in the cylinder and setting the gap between the ends of the ring itself. You have to have a gap there because as the engine gets hotter, the ring expands and this part gets tighter and tighter, and you don't want them to touch because if those two ends touch, the whole ring will buckle and usually break the piston. So for this supercharged big block with a 4.32-inch bore, we're gonna put the ring end gap way bigger than we used to in the old days. We're gonna do 32 thousandths on the top ring and 35 thousandths on the second ring. Now, to do that, what I'm gonna do is press the ring in the bore just like that, then rotate it in, and then I need to make it square in the bore, and since my SRP piston has a flat top on it, I can use the piston itself to push this down and get it perfectly square, just like that. And then I'm gonna take your regular old feeler gauge, and I've got my 32 thousandths blade right there, and I'm gonna stick that blade in between the ends of the piston ring. Now this one is still way too tight, so I'm gonna have to grind on it some more. Here's something I wanted to show you about connecting rod bearings. You'll notice on aftermarket crankshafts, there are fillets or a radius right here at the cheek of each side of the journal where it rolls up into the counterweight. Now the thing about those is that you do need narrowed bearings like this. This is a Clevite bearing, and if you see N in the part number, it means that it's been narrowed. See how it doesn't quite reach the end of the cap right here? And because of that, these are marked upper and lower. The upper goes into the rod, the lower goes into the cap. You can see that that bearing goes right there and fits up against that radius without interfering with anything. If I take this bearing that goes all the way out to the side and shove it up against this radius, I can actually feel that it's dragging in there, and that will spin a bearing if you don't get those on the right way. So make sure you get that right. Okay, I double checked the torque on every bolt here, making sure everything is seated and good, which they are. So the cylinder heads are officially on. Next up, I'm gonna start installing lifters. And actually, there are some engines where you cannot get a tall hydraulic roller lifter into the block with the cylinder head installed. But in this case, it is no problem whatsoever. So I'm gonna inspect every roller, clean them up, lube them, install them. Then we'll move on to push rods, rocker arms, poly locks, and only then will we have the glorious blower intake manifold. It appears that we got away with the push rod length. I think it's gonna be okay even though we changed the cylinder head. Sometimes that doesn't happen if the pad height for the rocker stud is different from head to head.
You dodged a bullet again, Freiburger.
I know. Okay, stop. Lower it right there. Stop. Okay, we have to sort out the headers now. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, down slow. Stop.
Woo!
2 in by 4 threads. It is time to pre-lube. I got the special tool, goes down, engages with the oil pump drive shaft. We're gonna spin it till this thing has oil pressure and I see oil coming up out of the rocker arms right here. And only then will we know that the engine is safe to continue to keep assembling. Oh, it already got pressure. We're good to go. All right, kids, you know what time it is? It's blower time! Woo-hoo! Yeah! I'm super stoked on my blower. This one had been blueprinted by the blower shop and it had Teflon strips in it, and the Teflon strips wear out after a while. That's now a filthy disaster. This thing is an out-of-the-box Wyand supercharger. It's got no Teflon strips in it at all, so there's nothing to wear out. Unfortunately, it's not as efficient. You have to spin it harder to make more boost, and that's okay, because I'm only looking at making like 5 pounds. But this thing is ready to go with its pair of Holley 950 carburetors and its Street Machine polished goodness. I love my 871. I love it so. Let's install this thing.
Okay. Hold on.
All right. And
Wait, I can't see my bolt. I'm right on it there.
yep.
Woo. Yeah, that wasn't too bad at all.
Not at all.
Okay, Freiburger, we've just grown up a whole bunch.
Great. Here we go. Should be faster than ever.
Okay, we're lining up for another pass, and this time we actually have the hope of a better time. We adjusted the throttle linkage, he's rolling into the beans, and this may be the best yet.
Okay, that was way faster, but it was a mess. Man, this thing wants to rev now that it's got throttle and boost. Wow, that was 14 pounds of boost. That is crazy.